Okay, ma'am, you please start, ma'am.
Video on cheyna, sir.
Yes, you please start.
Good morning to all the participants. I'm Mrs. D. Srilata, Assistant Professor of Physics, Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, Narsampet, Warangal District. I'm the coordinator of today's national level webinar in physics, entitled Innovative Practices of Teaching and Learning in Science. Before I begin the session, I would like to play a video promo on Balaji Group of Institutions. Over to Narayan, sir. Sir?
Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, Wi-Fi enabled lush green campus spread over 80 acres, highly committed doctoral faculty with research laboratories, first and only best engineering college securing highest placements in Telangana, 100% placement assistance with 250 plus students placed in 2017-18. Tie-ups with 100 plus companies to achieve 100% placements. Conducting guest lectures with IIT and NIT professors. For placement details, visit www.bitswgl.ac.in. Spacious and well-stocked library with national and international journal. Conducive academic environment with traditional approach. R&D lab for new innovation in engineering. Separate boys and girls hostels within campus. Choose BITS for assured placements. Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, Lakanapalli, Narsampet Road, Warangal.
Thank you, sir. At the outset, I take privilege to invite all the dignitaries, Chairman and Founder of Balaji Group of Institution, Dr. Rajendra Prasad Reddy Garu, and Secretary, Dr. G. Rajeshwar Reddy Garu. I welcome today our beloved Principal, Professor V.S. Hariharan Garu, and today's keynote speaker, Professor M.P. Nagasrinivas Sir Garu, and convener of this webinar and Head of Humanities and Science of Balaji Institution of Technology and Science and Humanities Department, Dr. V. Narayana Garu. And now I welcome the advisor of Humanities and Science Department, and I request Dr. Sudhakar Rao Sir Garu to give brief note about our college, sir. Over to Sudhakar, sir.
Good morning, all. I, Dr. V. Sudhakar Rao, Associate Professor, Department of Humanities and Sciences. So would like to familiarize all to the magnanimous Balaji Group of Institutions. Balaji Group of Institutions consists of various colleges, namely Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, Balaji Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Balaji Institute of Management Sciences, Balaji Institute of Nursing, Balaji Institute of Education, various degree colleges, junior colleges, and techno schools. We offer all professional and non-professional courses in these colleges. We provide wonderful infrastructure, state-of-art laboratories, hostels, and all transport facilities, and all the basic amenities. Specifically, Balaji Institute of Technology and Science was established in the year 2001, and it is located on the Warangal-Narsampet highway. In Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, we offer various courses, engineering courses such as civil engineering, mechanical engineering, computer science and engineering, electronics and communication engineering, and electrical and electronics engineering. And there are two newly courses added from this academic year, and they are CSIT and also artificial intelligence. In these courses also, they will start from this year. And college is accredited by NBA and NAC as well. This college is considered to be one of the premier institutes in Warangal district. So Balaji Group of Institutions is headed by Dr. A. Rajendra Prasad Reddy Garu, the chairman, Narsampet, and Dr. G. Rajeshwar Reddy Garu, the secretary. We have Dr. V.S. Hariharan Garu at the helm of affairs as the principal of this institution. And all faculty and our first BTech students of humanities and sciences are guided by our head of the department, Dr. V. Narayana. I'm now privileged to give a brief note on Department of Humanities and Sciences. It was established in the year of 2001. That is the year of inception of our college. And the department deals with the different subjects such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, English, environmental sciences, and gender sensitization. We have also fully equipped laboratories in engineering physics lab, engineering chemistry lab, and ELCS lab, English language communication skills lab, and advanced English communication skills lab. And through these labs, we also impart all the important skills, life skills, soft skills, and communication skills, which are required for the campus placements. So this is a brief note of our college. Now over to Srilata madam.
Thank you, sir. Before inaugurating the session, there is a lamp lighting song, sir. Over to Narayan, sir.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापं सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तुते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रांश्च मतिं स्वच्छां हि मे सदा रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् यस्य तिष्ठेत् गृहे दीपः तस्य नास्ति दरिद्रता शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Thank you, sir. Now I request the convener and head of the Department of Humanities and Science, Dr. V. Narayana Garu, to speak about today's webinar, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all the participants. First of all, I'm very thankful to the management for providing all the supports to organize one-day national webinar on innovative practices of teaching and learning in sciences. So I'm very thankful to the management. Last month, from 21 to 25, we have organized national level online faculty development program on basic sciences and humanities. There we covered all the subjects like general, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and English. This time, our management requested us to organize branch-wise webinars. So in that aspect, I'm very fortunate. So this is on behalf of Humanities and Science. This is the second national level program. So I'm thankful to college management, principal sir, and all my dear staff. Without their support, it is very difficult for me to conduct this program. So coming to our resource person, Professor Naga Srinivas Garu, he is running a institution called High Definition Educational Tools. I will share that screen also. HD Education Tools is a pioneer research institute in education with a group of creative and passionate teaching community. The team supports schools and colleges in conducting various academic programs. He is the initiator to bring high definition educational tools in India. I can proudly say, based on his achievement, so many new courses also entered in India. KUKAS is an inductive logical program designed by this team. So SAR has 26 years of experience. So in spite of his busy schedule, when we requested sir, immediately he accepted our request. I'm very thankful to you, sir. In spite of your busy schedule, you came and I'm very, on behalf of Humanities and Science and the management, I'm very thankful to you, sir. I request all the participants, please make use of this program. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Over to Mrs. Srilata, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for your brief schedule about our webinar, sir. Now I request our beloved principal, sir, Professor V.S. Hariharan Garu, to give inaugural message, sir.
So, Honorable Chairman of Balaji Group of Institutions, Dr. A. Rajendra Prasad Reddy Garu, and Secretary, Dr. G. Rajesh Reddy Garu, and today's speaker, respected Professor MP Naga Srinivas Garu, and convener of this webinar, Dr. V. Narayana, HOD, H&S Department, and coordinator, Mrs. D. Srilata, other faculty members and participants. Very good morning to one and all. So it's very happy to note that today, so you are going to have a very good session on innovative practices of teaching and learning. Now, as we are all on online mode of teaching, necessarily these type of sessions will improve our knowledge, so in teaching learning process. So I really thank the speaker, Professor MP Naga Srinivas Garu, for accepting invitation and delivering this topic on this topic. So I thank even the department for organizing this webinar. Thank you. Over to Mrs. Srilata.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm happy to introduce the keynote speaker and resource person of today's webinar, Professor MP Naga Srinivas Garu. Professor Naga Srinivas Garu did his post-graduation in physics from Kakatiya University, Warangal district, and pursued his research work in astrophysics from Osmania University, Hyderabad. Over the past 26 years, he has been teaching physics to the students at various levels. Having such a vast experience, he has founded HD Edu Tools, a startup company offering educational learning tools suitable to the students. He is a motivational speaker and organized several educational seminars at many educational institutions spanning across in India. Once again, I welcome to Nagasrinivas Sir Garu to start the session. Over to Sir.
Good morning to all. And this is Nagasrinivas. Basically, I'm a teacher. Teacher is always a learner. And my practice is learning the things how best I can teach the students. Anyhow, I worked at various levels. I taught for school sessions, engineering colleges, universities. But in all my teaching career, I found some lack in learning science. Now, our today's topic is innovative practices of teaching and learning science. And before that, I want to say one thing. Without understanding science properly, there is no chance of applying science into technology. Suppose if anybody asks what is the difference between science and technology. Science is knowing simply. Technology is the application. If you don't know the things well, you can't apply the things. So basically, at high school levels, at middle school levels, or at intermediate levels, if we can learn science better, then only we can apply the science to technology well. And because of this gap, because of this lack of application of science to technology, we are a little bit behind compared to other world in research, in technology, all the things. Just, I want to introduce what is the difficulties in learning science. Generally, what are the hurdles we are facing in learning science and how we can overcome it. Presently, I want to start this meeting as a general topic, as a conventional topic. Then I want to introduce what is the use of technology and what are the use of innovative things in learning science. Before going to this, say the topic is innovative practices of learning in science. Before that, we should know what are the hurdles in learning science. Why we cannot learn science properly. This is not a question for a child. This is the question for all. Even the students in MSc stage or the students in BTech stage, whatever it may be. If they know what are the difficulties in learning science, then definitely they can practice innovative things in learning science. My topic is not confined to teaching. It also confined teaching as well as learning. The same methods you can apply for teaching as well as the same methods you can apply for learning. First of all, I want to discuss what are the difficulties in learning science. I think you can see some points behind me. The first problem while you're teaching the science as well as learning the science is lack of imagination. Imagination is very, very important thing for the learning science. Suppose I'm teaching to a student, I want to explain about the principle of motor. You haven't seen what motor can do. You haven't seen motor, how it works. Is it easy to explain them? Suppose I want to explain about the aeroplane to a student who don't know about aeroplane. Just you know about auto who is running on their streets. Is it easy to explain working of aeroplane to that student? First of all, in learning science, not only for the students, for you also, first you try to imagine the things. For this imagination, what we have to practice, that we discuss later. And the second problem, what we are facing in teaching science or as well as learning science, lack of practical exposure. Almost all in our schools, colleges, or in our learning process, we are missing activity-based learning of science. I know about vernier calipers. I know about screw gauge. I know the Pascal's principle. Practically, I haven't experienced about it. Then how I can learn, how I can apply the things? That is another problem what we face. And another important hurdle in learning science is lack of observation ability in day-to-day life. Generally, what practice we have to develop among the children is they have to learn about what they observe. They have to learn about what they observe. If this system is developed, definitely that gap will be filled. And another important thing is inability to relate mathematical ideas to science. And this is very important problem faced by the students in post-graduation as well as in research areas. Actually, mathematics is not just a bunch of numbers. It is a science, but we have no mechanism to learn mathematics as a science. Just we are learning mathematics as mathematics. At learning stage, the mathematical tools are not correlated with the science learning. So when they go to research, when they go for higher learning, there the children are facing a lot of problems. Even not only the children, we too means ourselves, elders also facing the problem. Without basic knowledge in mathematics, learning science is very difficult. And another important hurdle in learning science is not able to define constraints or understanding constraints. Constraints, while defining science has some constraints. You cannot take every definition of science common to all. Even you take any principle, you take Newton's law, it has some constraints. If you take freely falling body, it has some constraints. And because of inability to understand these constraints, we are facing the problem in learning science or applying the science. And another problem is a lack of knowledge in writing and conversion of units and change of notations. Even I too face this the same problem. Up to BSc level, I studied the refractive index as mu. When I entered into PG level, the refractive index is denoted by n. Of course, I understood mu n. But the problem is, my mind is habituated to that notation. Suddenly, I have to switch to this notation, means there is a lot of confusion. Because of this confusion, we losing the learning capacity of science. So my request is to all teachers or all research scholars, everything, use the standard notation that is accepted by SI, that is Standard International System. Of course, you can notate anything, but use the standard notation. And another important problem in learning science is inability of building science logically. That is, if we can make the child logically, they can build the science. It helps to learn science very easily. I want to explain each and everything, what exactly it is, and what are the problems in each thing that I'm going to explain. Yeah, I think you can view my screen, my presentation. Here we are discussing about the challenges, what we have, learning challenges.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Sir, very simple, sir. Sir, please
Sir, please.
Sir?
Yeah. Okay. We are going to discuss about what are the learning challenges faced in the science. Already we discussed about this. First one I thought about lack of imagination. Already I told imagination is very important thing in learning science. Now the thing is how we can overcome it. Making models. At the same time, nowadays, technology, computer technology, it also helps you to create imagination, to think about imagination. And making field trips, you get the imagination. And audio visuals, it also gives the imagination. But very important thing in creating the imagination should be in well-defined way. Adapt the imagination as per the constraints and definitions. Suppose if your imagination is away from these constraints, away from these definitions. That is, for example, I have to imagine a vertical plane. You cannot imagine the vertical plane on the ground. Suppose I want to define a two-dimensional motion that should be imagined. Means we have to make the child to adapt, imagine as per constraints and definitions, as per the definitions. And while creating the imagination or while you are imagining the things, the priorities, size, shape, physical structure, this is very important thing. The student, when imagining an Airbus and a bus, he should be able to compare these two things. We have to give that kind of practice to the student. He cannot imagine the size of elephant and the size of a human same. If we can create this kind of imagination among the children, then it makes easy to learn science. And comparison on basic principles and behind it. And the second thing what I discussed is lack of practical exposure. And this is very important thing. Without the practical exposure, no science student can excel. No science student can apply his knowledge to technology. I think this is a major problem what we are facing in our education system, in schools, in colleges, whatever it may be. Even I too have that problem, you too have that problem. Theoretically, we are very strong. Indians are very strong theoretically. But in experimentization, in manufacturing areas, we are very weak. The problem is lack of practical exposure. I think 80% of schools or colleges, they are making the science to learn in classrooms. They are making science through books. They are making the science constrained to classrooms only. This cannot give a proper learning in science. To overcome this, we have to make the children learn through practice. We have to create some models ourselves, some activities to understand the principles. Even with our day-to-day life, general activities also, we can show different models, different activities we can allow to the students to understand the things. Just you take a balloon. With that balloon, you can explain Pascal's principle. Just you take a bowl, a stone, put a stone into bowl, how much water is overflow. Simply you can explain the Archimedes principle. Even it doesn't require a lot of what you call equipment. With simple activities, we can make the child to learn. A lot of experiments related to, for example, if you want to make the child to learn about the measurements, let it learn measurements in ground, not in classroom. With these experiments, we can make the child to learn maximum. In general, what is our practice is verify Pascal's law using an experiment. This is the general question we are going to give to the student. And student will do that experiment and he verifies the Pascal's law. But the question is not like that. You do this experiment, what you are finding in this experiment, what you prove in this experiment, you tell to me. If we can adapt that kind of system that is deriving result from experiment. Just you ask a child to move an object on a horizontal surface, to move an object on rough surface. Now you ask, where we are feeling easy? Yes, on smooth surface we are feeling easy. On rough surface it is difficult. Why it is difficult on rough surface? Then student starts thinking, okay, on rough surface, some opposite force is there, that force is friction. Okay, roughness is increased, that frictional force is also increases. If we can adapt the basic idea deriving result from experiment, it helps the student in learning science well. And another thing is lack of observation ability in day-to-day life. Of course, whatever may be the reason, nowadays for students or for us, we lost this observation ability. We are not observing the things, how they are moving, how they are doing. If we can observe each and every mission, of course, mission means everything is mission, even human body is also a mission. How they work, what is the application due to that? If you observe each and everything, from that, the child can learn more and more science. The important thing we have to adapt ourselves as well as children. You think away from the books. Suppose if a principle is there in the book, as per the definition, you create some idea and you start thinking about that away from the book. Definitely, that imagination makes you to learn better science compared to your book. And also we have to adapt an ability, understanding application of science in day-to-day life. The same thing is applicable for teaching as well as for learning. Day-to-day life, where we can apply the science. First, you observe where science is applied. Then you start thinking where you can apply the science. First, you observe where science is applied. Know the things. Then you start applying your science to the things. This builds a creative mind for research. And already I told, learn about what you observe. That is very important. What you learned, you observe it. That is okay. But the next stage is learn about what you observed. If you cannot do this, learn about what you observe, no development in science will occur, no PhD will, no research will occur. The basic idea for the research is learn about what you observe, or think about what you observe, search about what you observe, explore about what you observe. This is the basic idea for the research. If there is no idea, learn about what you observe or think about what you observe. If this idea is smashed, there will be no research in science, no research in technology, no development. This is very important idea. And another important thing, another important hurdle in learning science is inability to relate mathematical ideas to the sciences. Almost all people feel mathematics is numbers, but it is not numbers, it is a science. I feel mathematics is an experience. Mathematics is a feeling. That is the tool. Everywhere we can apply it. It makes you to learn logic. It makes you to learn analysis. It makes you to learn explore. It makes you to learn solving the problems. Without these basic ideas, nobody cannot achieve highest level in science. But our basic problem is, almost all I observed so many students, so many persons, they are ready to define the things, but when coming to the numericals, when coming to the applications, they are not able to apply what they learned in numericals. That is one problem. And the second thing is, why they cannot apply mathematics to science. Why they cannot apply mathematics to science. The problem is they properly learn. They not properly learned mathematics at the stage what they learn. It's true. Why? Because, say, suppose in physics, I have a problem. Physics is force into displacement. In some cases, work done is force into displacement. In some cases, we are writing work done equal to integration of f dot dx. Now the question is, where we have to write integration, where we have to write simply work done equal to force into displacement. Or simply I can say where we have to apply the summation, where we have to apply the integration. When we can do it? If we know the proper definition of summation and integration at basic level, then only we can apply summation or integration, whatever it may. But at learning stage, the people are treating mathematics is a separate subject, science is a separate subject. The interrelation between mathematics and science is missing. If we can connect mathematics and science from school level, then definitely our children can learn science better. And my request to math teachers is, you make mathematics as a science. Don't feel mathematics means simply give a formula and do the problem. You try to explain what are the applications of mathematics in science. What are the applications of mathematical tools in science? If mathematics teachers can do this, definitely the learning of science becomes very easy. Next one is not able to define constraints or understanding constraints. These constraints is very important in science learning. What is the meaning of constraint? Every definition have a constraint, that is a limit. For example, if I take Newton's second law, simply I give a formula for Newton's second law, F equal to mg. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. Is this formula is applicable everywhere? No. Only when mass is constant, then only we can apply F equal to mg. The constraint in that is F equal to mA. You can find the force using formula m into a when mass is constant. This is the constraint. If you don't know this constraint, then you cannot apply the Newton's second law. Newton's second law formula is equal to m. So every definition we have to learn with constraints. Every definition we have to learn with constraints. For example, when a force is applied, we get change in state of a body. Is there any constraint is there in this? When a force is applied, there is a change in state of a body. Again, here the constraint is when unbalanced force is applied, then only the body state can change. With balanced force, we cannot change the state. Suppose I'm learning about conservation of energy. In general, what is conservation of energy means simply, we used to say energy is conserved anywhere. There is no creation of energy, no loss in energy, no destruction in energy. Energy is conserved. Is there any constraint is there? Yes, constraint is there. Law of conservation of energy is applicable in conservative fields only. Law of conservation of energy is applicable in conservative fields. In non-conservative fields, you cannot apply it. If we make these constraints highlighted, then only you can learn science properly. Next one is, this is a simple problem. Knowledge in writing and conversion of units, change of notations already we discussed. Almost all this knowledge the student will get with good practice. Actually, we have to adapt to suitable units for use. And at the same time, adapting suitable units means we should know which kind of units we have to apply for it. I want to express length of a small pencil. If I use meter, it becomes very huge. Centimeter, the unit you have to use there. This is adapting suitable unit. Suppose I want to discuss about distance between sun and earth. In that case, if I use the unit centimeter, it is not a suitable unit. To give distance between sun and earth, you use astronomical unit. To give the distance between stars, and planets, the distance between galaxies, you use the unit per second, light year. There you cannot use the unit centimeter, millimeter. Suppose if I want to define the thickness of your hair, if I use that unit, no. Adapting suitable units for uses, it is very important. Rice should be weighed in kgs. Gold should be weighed in milligrams or grams. This is adapting a suitable unit for the uses. And we have to make them to practice more in writing and conversion of units. And always make them to follow standard international notation. Even in this, I think I may talking to some of the research scholars, some of the students who are going for their post-graduation education in science or technology, whatever it may be. These things are very helpful for you. Always you follow a standard international notation. That helps you a lot. It removes the confusion in learning science. And another one is inability of building science logically. Actually, what I feel is science can be practiced by logical thinking. Science can learn by logical thinking. If we can adapt that kind of logical thinking, if we can make child to adapt that kind of logical thinking, then definitely they can learn properly the science. I feel science is, there is no science in books. Without books also, you can develop the science logically. For this, we require a proper logic that can be built with mathematics. And also for this, we require the ability of defining the terms properly. Suppose if you can start with a proper definition with constraints, then definitely you can develop the science like anything. I will give one simple example. I'm not a biology student. But for example, I want to think about the respiration. In general, what is the definition of respiration? Means what people give. Breathing in and breathing out is called respiration. This is not a technical definition for the respiration. Suppose at defining the respiration, if I can define it properly, then how I can build the science? See here. Respiration is a process in which the food molecules are break down. From that we get the energy. Respiration is a process of creating energy by breaking food molecules or by burning food molecules. This is the proper definition for respiration. Suppose if this proper definition is given to the students, if this proper definition is given to me, I'm a student, then how I can build? Okay, respiration. Respiration means breaking of food molecules or burning of food molecules. To break food molecules, to burn food molecules, we require oxygen. So oxygen means we have to take oxygen from atmosphere. So we have to breathe in and breathe out. Okay. With oxygen, respiration can be done. At the same time, I'm getting one doubt. Energy is necessary for all the things, all living things. Without oxygen, is it not possible of respiration process? Yes, without oxygen also we get the respiration. In single cell living bodies. Okay, with oxygen, the respiration is called aerobic respiration. Without oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. Okay, again, without oxygen, how the respiration can occur? How the respiration can occur? Respiration is nothing but burning. Respiration involves oxygen. It's nothing but oxidation. Immediately I will get, okay, due to oxidation process, the respiration will occur there due to some chemical reaction. That is, if you can define properly at that starting level, this build-up can be done. This is very important in the science. We have to make the child to adapt that logical thinking. And this logical thinking can be developed. Of course, in one day it cannot be developed. Almost all what I discussed, all the things, previous 6 things. If these 6 things are developed, definitely they develop this logical thinking. And this logical thinking helps the child This logical thinking helps the child a lot for future research and application of science to technology to make innovative things. Okay, these are the hurdles what we face in learning science. Now, again the thing, almost all I discussed how these hurdles can be compressed. In learning a subject, in learning science or mathematics, whatever it may be, what should be the process of teaching methodology? Or what should be the process of learning methodology? Steps in teaching or learning. It may be science, it may be mathematics, it may be science, it may be languages, whatever it may be. In general, what our people feel, learn, practice, test. That completes the learning cycle. But the problem is, 85% of our children, they are facing the problem at learning stage itself. Why they have the problem at learning stage, why they have their lack of learning means, the simple answer is lack of prerequisites, lack of basics. For example, I want to learn about Newton's laws. When I can learn Newton's laws properly, if I have some basic knowledge related to the kinematics, if I know speed, velocity, acceleration, equations of motion, scalars, vectors, what is force, what force can do. If I have this minimum basic knowledge, then only I can learn Newton's laws properly. Without knowing all these things, I can't learn. This is the problem what we are facing in the science. So many students, they are coming to higher classes. But the problem is they are missing, they have a lot of learning gaps in previous classes. If we can identify that gaps, what they have in previous classes, what the gaps they have in previous classes, definitely you can make the child to learn better. Apart from learn, practice and test, there should be some other mechanism in learning science or in learning a subject. What is that mechanism is? Say, first we have to assess the child for prerequisites. Any topic. For example, in English class, I want to teach active and passive voice to the student. Directly, I cannot make the child giving a sentence, Rama killed Ravana, change the voice. What I expect from the children is to teach active voice and passive voice. The children should know the minimum knowledge related to forming sentences, minimum basics related to English grammar. They should know how to build the sentences, how to build the words. Then only I can make them to learn active voice and passive voice. But in our system, in our general practices, what we are doing is, almost all, I'm talking to each and everybody, to research scholars, whatever it may be. Whatever the course we have, we are concentrating on that only, how to learn it. But just to think, to learn that course, what you require, what should be your minimum ability, then definitely you can learn better. Very simple example, from Hyderabad to Warangal, 140 kilometers, my ability is just I can walk. The task given to me is I have to walk in 3 hours. Is it possible? It is not possible. Then what I have to do? I have to increase my ability. I have to take a car. I have to take a bus. Then going to Warangal becomes very easy. Similarly, in learning a subject, if you want to learn something, first you think yourself, to learn this, what I require. Am I perfect in this? Not so. First you complete it, then you come in. This is my sincere advice to the research scholars especially. In learning, just you try to go back, then you learn it, you can do wonders. First, we have to assess for prerequisites to learn anything. For example, I want to learn trigonometry. Directly trigonometry, I cannot learn. Before trigonometry, I should know what is an angle, what is a triangle, what is a right angle triangle, what are the properties of right angle triangle. Then only I can learn trigonometry. First, you assess yourself for prerequisites. Then, you fill your learning gaps. The same thing for teaching as well as for learning and suggesting. Then you make learning present subject. Then it becomes very easy to learn. Simply the student can learn anything. And then practice. It is must in technology as well as science. Practice means, very important thing, practice means not only doing problems. The practice includes experimentization, activities, practicing what you learn. Applications means the ability of applying the things what you learn to general day-to-day life. That is practice. Practice means not only doing problems, not only reading that. Practice means applying. For example, a lawyer do practice. What does it mean? A lawyer is practicing, a CA is practicing. What does it mean? Yes, they are into work exposure. What they learned, they are practicing here. The same thing is missing in case of science students. The same thing, if you can implement, then definitely you can do innovative things in science. And finally, you evaluate yourself or you evaluate the child, what they learn. These are the steps in teaching or learning of any subject. Either it may be mathematics, it may be science, it may be any subjects. If your program is like this and you adapt your child to this methodology, definitely learning is not a problem. You can learn any subject. You can learn easily any subject. This is the methodology what we have to implement. Next one, to learn any subject, the process of learning, how to develop ourselves in that subject. Actually, this is my practice, how to develop a subject. How to develop a subject in a proper way. For that, I have given a methodology, a formula which is called KUKAS. I want to know anything, I want to learn anything. You apply this KUKAS. What does it mean? Very simple. KUKAS is the knowledge, understanding, concept, application, skill. If I want to know, if I want to learn, if I want to excel in one subject, this is a stepwise practicing of that subject. For example, I want to learn driving. I want to learn car driving. What is the first step I have to do? I should know how car looks like. Otherwise, by sitting on a buffalo, I can say it is car. That is called the knowledge of science, knowledge in subject. First, you try to know the things. Then you try to understand what you know. After saying car, oh, this is the shape of the car. That is knowledge. Understanding. Okay, car is an automobile. It moves with some fuel, with some force due to engine. That is understanding. Then concept. Concept means, yes, what are the principles involved in moving that car? Then application. Suppose I'm taking a simple example, car driving. Knowing about the car is knowledge. Knowing about car is knowledge. Means how it looks like. Then understanding what is the shape of the car, what we can do with the car, that is understanding. And the concept means how to drive the car. Means while driving the car direction is controlled by steering, speed is controlled by gears, speed is controlled by accelerator, speed is controlled by brake. That is the concept. Then application means you start driving the car. You start driving the car. Just you start driving the car. You go to first gear and you start the car, you move on. That is application. And skill means how fast you can do it. How best I can drive. So many drivers are there. The skill is different from driver to driver. That is skill. Now my question is, if you know knowledge, understanding and concept, is it completes your science learning? No. With knowledge, understanding and concept, you cannot do. Concept means just you know what is gear, what is pedal, what is accelerator, what is brake. With this, can you move the car? To move the car, you have to apply it. The basic problem in science, almost all, we are stopping our learning at knowledge, understanding and concept. We least bother about application and skill in the science. Without developing that application part and skill in science, making learning of science is useless. If you learn science, if you limit yourself for knowledge, understanding and concept, you are not applying it. It is useless. Already I told, the application of science is the technology. Without learning science properly, you cannot do any development in the technology. Science is the basic idea for the technology. If you are not strong in science, the technology cannot be moved forward. And the next one is and in next session, we discuss each and everything. What are the different activities we can practice? What are the different models we can practice in making child to learn? Almost all we done a lot of work on this. We do it. Why? Because our time given is 10 to 11. Suppose if you go on thinking like this, if you go on speaking like this, the hours may pass away. Definitely one more session will be there. In one more session, we are going to practically approach to learn different physics topics or to learn different topics in science, what best models we can use. And also I'm going to show what are the different models we prepared for children. All these things in next session we go. And this is a basic idea where we are lacking. What are the different problems in learning science? How to overcome it? I think this helps you once again to think while teaching as well as learning in science. I cannot say this is a constrained theory related to the learning science. This is my experience. I shared my experience with you. If my experiences helps you, my works helps you in learning science as well as in making learning science, that is in teaching as well as in learning yourself. Definitely, it is useful for you, your children. I hope you can better practice it. Thank you to all. And if you have any doubts, you can some doubts are there. If any doubts are there, I'm ready to answer them. Madam Srilata, Madam, any doubt, any question?
Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
I thank Professor Nagasrinivas, sir, for his valuable and informative session, sir. It is a common practice in every classroom that students face several issues in learning sciences, sir.
Yeah.
I think this webinar has addresses such issues in overcoming various constraints while teaching and learning sciences, sir. The best way of teaching and learning can be achieved by adapting the methodology of knowledge, understanding, concept, application, and skills, sir. So there are some questions raised by the various participants, sir. Sir?
Yeah, I'm on the line. You can ask the question.
So the first question, Venkat Krishna, sir.
Yeah.
Vanapati, he is asking question. Students of rural areas lack knowledge of subject, but they have high goals. Then how to develop subject with a bulk syllabus? And how e-education can be help the students of government schools in this pandemic situation when their economic standards are very poor?
Okay. Good question. And this question contains 2 to 3 parts I consider. The first one is with bulk syllabus, how the things can be achieved. That is one question. Actually, in learning process, I feel syllabus is not a criteria. Always when you are learning the child means, you make him how to learn. You give the training, how to learn it. Definitely the student can learn any kind of subject. Don't means you need not to give almost all the subject to the student. Even I practiced, even in physics, I used to teach only mechanics, good, and means only some topics I used to concentrate. But while teaching these topics, I give a practice to the student how to learn the subject. Already I told this Kukas method. And also a methodology. First you think to learn anything, what is required, first you learn it, then you learn this, then you start going to apply it. So bulk syllabus is not a criteria. Of course, even though what we learn means how far we make the child to learn, how much syllabus we make child to learn is not important. Either we made the child to learn it or not. Just you are a guide. If you can give a basic information to the child in a proper way, if you can build the science building capacity of the student, definitely they can learn it. That is one thing. And the second thing is, in this panic situation, how we can make the child to learn. Definitely we have to go for like these methods. And one more important thing is digitalization is necessary for education or not. Technology is necessary for education. We require technology. To address like these situations, we require technology. Actually, why we use technology in teaching means, especially to assess the child. Why? Because if I go to a class, in a class, 30 students are there, 30 students are 30 with the 30 different abilities. I want to project myself to each student. That is, teacher-student ratio is 1:30, but I want to make it teacher-student ratio is 1:1. Then the best tool is the technology. Using technology, each student can have a teacher. So many programs are there, adaptive learning programs. You go through it, definitely you get the solution in this. And definitely nowadays online teaching, if you practice good methods, if you practice proper technology, proper methodology, making child to learn, it is very useful. Definitely we can use digital technology in this. Online classes are there and so many tools, so many audio visuals are there. You can ask the children to go through it. And especially almost every child has at least smartphones with them. So we can go for digitalization of education. Okay, next, madam.
Yes, sir. Another question, sir. Nirupam Malakar. What is the best effective method of teaching physical science in this pandemic situation, sir? Bioscience in this pandemic situation, sir.
Okay. Actually, I cannot say this method is better and this method is not better, but question itself is very difficult. In this pandemic situation, what is the best methodology of teaching biology? Really, sometimes, why? Because biology has some extent, so many working models in YouTube like channels. Definitely, you can make use of them. You get a lot of videos related to the biosciences are available in YouTube while you are teaching to the students. If you are already practicing online classes, if you are teaching to the students, you can explore them with their audio visuals. Right? Because definitely biology requires a lot of imagination. That lot of imagination can be created with audio visuals. So prepare some audio visuals yourself, or you adapt from YouTube, or whatever it may be. Definitely these audio visuals can help students a lot in learning biology.
Sir, there are few more questions, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Adisheshulu, sir was asked how to teach science without practicals in this pandemic situation. In this pandemic situation, by online animated videos cannot replace real practical activities, sir.
Yes. Sir, this is a very good question. Actually, what we discussed is, we discussed about general practice of learning science. But in these situations, how to make children to learn? Almost all, some models are there, which related to the activities, which related to the experiments, 3D models that you can adapt. That is one thing. The second thing is, especially we are discussing about physical science. In physical science, apart from the activities, the practice, numericals practice in and preparing a scheduled, what you call assignments, that helps a lot. Almost all, some models are there, but practically they support you or not, I don't know, but some models are there, some visual animations, some activity-based videos are there. Just to go through, sir, definitely it will help. And one more important thing, the assignments, what you are giving to the students. You give the assignment such that you prepare the assignment such that that assignment should relate to activity. That activity the children can do at their home. For example, you are teaching measurements. You are teaching measurements. You give an assignment. What should be that assignment is, measure the length of the table, what you have in front of you. Measure the length of the pencil. Compare them. Measure the length of the table using some, what you call this roller. How to measure the table length with roller. Like these innovative questions, if you can give like these innovative questions, definitely it helps the student. Means assignment means simply write 1 meter is how many centimeters, 1 meter equal to how many millimeters, like these questions are some problems. Instead of that, if you can give like these activities to the students at home, definitely it helps them in learning. That type of assignments you have to prepare. He is at home. At home, what he can learn? What are the availabilities with this? With that, what he can do? If you can plan assignment based on that, definitely the child can learn. Okay, madam. Any next question?
2 more questions, sir. Can I? 2 more questions, sir. Can I?
Definitely, madam.
Okay, thank you, sir. The question raised by Dr. Rajeshwar Reddy Garu. How can we teach concepts without practical experience in classroom, sir? Can I repeat, sir?
I repeat it, madam.
How can we teach concepts without practical experience in classroom, sir?
Yeah, definitely. Sir, now we are discussing the same thing. Teaching concepts without practical experience is difficult. Actually, the second point is the same. See the second point, lack of practical exposure. That is a very important thing in making the child to learn the concepts. And basically what we are doing is, we are trying to make the child to imagine and imagine. Almost all teachers, maximum teachers. Why? Because our schools are like that, our colleges are like that, our facilities are like that. We are making the child to imagine. But one thing we can do, that imagination, during that imagination, we can help the child. For that, first, we adapt, means we have to make the child to adapt. How to imagine the things. That is very important. If in science book, if the one unit is there, how to imagine the things. If they adapt proper imagination in learning science, then easily you can teach the concepts without activities. Of course, this is, I think this is a huge subject. This definitely we can discuss in next session. In next session, I want to concentrate on this, how we can make the teacher to make the child to learn child, to make learning child concepts without activities. What models we can use there, that we discuss later. Yes, Madam Srilata, madam.
Last query, sir.
Yeah.
From Fatima Siddiqui, madam was asking, share your opinion on NEP. Can I repeat, sir?
I think, repeat.
Share your opinion on National Educational Policy, NEP 20.
Yeah. Okay. I think as for me, I dreamed something in education 10 years back that is going to be implemented now. Of course, there are a lot of implementation problems are there. Of course, if any model is implemented, if any education policy is implemented, the basic idea, what they generate is good. During the implementation, we have so many of problems. For example, a simple example, in our schools, we are implementing CCE model. The idea of CCE model is different. Again, the CCE model, it is turned into common model. The idea of CCE model is making the child to think, but 80% of schools, still they are following study materials, still they are following guides. It's very funny thing. The student will follow a guide for writing own sentences. Means in languages, in guide it will be there. Use the following words to frame your own sentences, and that will give some own sentences. The same thing the student will write in examination also. The same thing teacher will give also. Okay, I don't want to discuss all the things, how this is going. National education policy, I don't want to discuss in detail. Of course, if you go detail, it is a complete subject, it becomes. But the things what they are going to introduce in national education policy, the important thing is skill-based education, making the child more skilled. Why? Because nowadays we are lack of skilled persons in so many areas. Even we have an aerospace company. They are going for so many students for interview. We are calling so many students for interview who completed BTech and all the things. Even though they completed BTech mechanical, they don't know what is the meaning of case, what is the meaning of screw case. We have a lack of skills. It may be problem with the education system. It may be problem with the college. It may be problem with the student, whatever it may be. But in new education policy, it will not happen, I think. Definitely, the student will train. The student will train with skills. And this idea is very good. Almost all, now in education system, we can compete with other developed nations with this education system. That is my opinion. That is my idea. But it should be implemented properly. Okay, I don't want to discuss what are the problems in implementation, what are the demerits and merits. But my opinion is it is good. Definitely, if it is implemented properly,
Sir, my video
Hello?
struck in. Okay, last query, sir. Can I ask?
Madam Silata, madam, are you there in the line?
Yes, sir. Is it clear, sir? Yes, sir. My voice is audible, sir. Hello?
Yes, yes, it is audible, but
Madam, are you there in the line?
Yes.
Yeah, madam. Any more questions?
So last query, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. K. Ganapati, sir was asking how to get the students' attention. How to
Pardon,
get
madam?
the students at how to get the students' attention by online teaching, sir.
Yeah, it is very difficult question, madam. Simply I can say. My request to the teachers is when going for online teaching, what are the online tools you are using? It is very important. Almost all in online teaching also, you can make the student to interact with you. Different online tools. One thing, almost all I am using online tools. You can use virtual images. You can show something on board. Almost all up to now I have shown. Similarly, you can use a digital board. You can ask the student to write. And one more important thing in online classes, don't allow maximum number of students. If the number of students is limited, definitely they can interact to you. And by showing different models, by showing different audio visuals, and also using proper tools, definitely we can make attention of the students towards you. Next, madam.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for your valuable answers given raised the questions raised by the participants, sir.
Okay.
Now I request Dr. Narayana Garu to speak about this webinar, sir. Over to Narayan, sir.
Thank you, madam. I'm very fortunate that today we have a eminent speaker delivered on effective, innovative techniques in science and technology. Sir has covered what I learned from today's lecture, that steps in teaching learning, there are Sir covered 5 points, namely assessing prerequisites, filling learning gaps. Actually, the problem with the teachers or lecturers or anybody is that simply the moment they will enter into the class, they will start telling the class.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
they
yes.
won't see the gaps, what really the students required. In a class, there will be different types of students. Some students, they are good at something, some are below the level, some are very high level. But you explained properly, filling learning gaps. That is really interested topic, sir. And the third one is learning. Fourth one is practice, and the fifth one is evaluation. These are the topics which you covered, and your emblem is KUKAS, knowledge, understanding, concept, application skill. Really, we are very happy that when we interacted, immediately you have responded, sir.
Okay. Madam,
Sir.
Srilata, madam.
Sir, sir.
One thing, madam, one thing I want to say, I'm very happy to participate in this meeting. And so many participants, they shared their questions also. And I'm very happy to be with you. And I'm very much interested, madam, if you can conduct like these interactions on various topics. I'm ready to, in next sessions, whatever the questions asked by the participants, definitely we can cover these things. Yeah. And I expect some more sessions like this to educate, to discuss about online education, to discuss about the digital education, to discuss about the different activities related to learning science. These things we can discuss in next sessions. I'm very happy to involve in this, and we expect definitely you can expect some more webinars like this from my side as well as from your college side. Definitely, I'm happy to participate in that, madam, and I'm feeling very happy today. And any more doubts? Any more?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you, sir. Definitely, we can organize this type of seminars with the support of our management, sir. We can invite you, sir, compulsory. So finally, I would like to give thanks, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. And madam, if they have any more doubts, pardon?
No, sir.
If they have any more doubts,
up to now, just what are the doubts asked by the participants? I posted to you, sir. Then if I get any doubts in the mail, sir, I will post to your mail, sir.
Definitely. Or they can also contact directly to me also. Nagasrinivas MP is my name, at the rate of Gmail or hdedutools.com.
Okay.
With that so also they can contact me.
Okay, sir. So,
okay, madam.
to Narayan, sir.
Yeah.
1 minute.
I think Narayana sir is not there on the line.
Okay, sir. I'll conclude the remarks. So thank you very much, sir, for your valuable and informative webinar, Innovative Practices of Teaching and Learning Sciences. It is a hopeful
Okay.
that many of the participants will definitely able to gain the knowledge about various training tools and techniques available so as to make teaching learning processes a meaningful event, sir. Once again, I thank you, sir, for sharing your experiences and research inputs of all of us, sir. I
Okay.
express my gratitude to our chairman and founder, Dr. Rajendra Prasad Reddy Garu, for their continuous support and cooperation in organizing such kind of webinars, sir. I
Yeah.
thank Secretary Dr. Rajeshwar Reddy Garu for encouraging us to take up such events. And I thank our principal, sir, Professor V.S. Hariharan Garu, for his continuous motivation to the faculty to organize these webinars in this pandemic situation also, sir. I thank
Yes.
the advisor department and department head of humanities and science, Dr. V. Narayana Garu,
Okay.
for his technical contributions in organizing this webinar, sir. Finally, a thanks to Advisor of Humanities and Sciences, Dr. Sudhakar Rao Garu, for his continuous academic support, sir. And finally, I thank heads of all the departments of BITS faculty members, students, and all the participants across India for joining this session and making this event successful, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you. Thank you to all. Thank
Is
you
my
to.
voice audible, sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you are audible.
I'm sorry, actually sudden power failure. So
Okay,
even
okay.
I tried to use my mobile phone, it is not connecting. So I request all the participants, don't worry. I'm going to post your feedback link. Already you posted, but it was not accepting. Don't worry. Now again, I will be posting your feedback form. The moment you fill that form, you will get your certificate. Otherwise, you can contact the coordinator, Mrs. Srilata ma'am. I'm very thankful to today's resource person, Professor Nagasrinivas Garu. You attended and you presented well. Hope definitely there will be one more session, sir. Practical session. How the even as a in the pandemic situation, most of the faculty they are struggling to teach through online mode. I know that you are expert in that online tools,
Yeah, yeah.
HD tools, education tools. So definitely in future we'll have a one more session, sir. I
Definitely,
thank
definitely.
you on behalf of our department and management. We are very thankful to you, sir. Thank you for accepting our request. Okay, sir. With this, I'll. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.